do you know these regions of the United States? Interested to check this one out and see what kind of different regions we got in America. Before we do get into this, appreciate if you guys can hit that subscribe button. Let's see what we got.
Today we're looking at the map of the many regions of the United States.
Okay.
That's right, there are a ton of different regions, not just the South,
Not
the
just the
Midwest, the West, New England, and the Mid-Atlantic. There's a
Right.
handful of official regions that different agencies and organizations use. And then there's a whole bunch of unofficial ones, like, let's say, the Deep South. That's a region everyone knows, but it's really not an official region. We're going to take a look at as many as we can squeeze into this video with a little explanation for each, like how did it come about, what's the backstory here, things like that. Got it? Get it?
Well,
Group.
I already know what the Deep South is in the South. It's just the South, but it's deeper.
Let's take a look.
It goes deeper, man.
We're going to start off with the northeastern section of the country in what they call the Northeast and Region 1.
Okay.
The Northeast has two divisions. Division 1, which is called New England. Division 2, which is called the Middle Atlantic. Most people refer to it as the Mid-Atlantic. Let's start off with New England. New England is a cool area up in the northeastern U.S., and it's made up of 6 states: Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. If you're looking for it on a map, it is below Canada and above New York, for the most part. It's up there in the Gulf of Maine and the Atlantic Ocean, and right there where the Long Island Sound is. You have a whole bunch of other water areas that surround New England, like you got...
You know what's crazy? New England is literally probably bigger than England. In fact, it definitely is, isn't it? I know they're smaller states of America, but it's still going to be bigger, bro.
Block Island Sound, Buzzard Bay, Vineyard Sound, Cape Cod Bay, and a bunch of other little bays and sounds that, unless you're from that area, you've never heard of and probably never will again. New England is really where the country got its start. I mean, it's where the Pilgrims landed. It's where Paul Revere did his midnight run. It is filled with history, charming little towns, and a bunch of people who think they're Canadian, or at least wish they were Canadian. In the last 3 years, the New England area has become one of the most desirable places to move to, and I think a lot of it...
Hey, listen, people that live in New England, I know there'll be people living there, right? Well, living there, yeah. Do you wish you was Canadian? Is that a true statement or not?
Has to do with their low crime rate and quality of life scores. I mean, they've only got a couple places that have any legit crime, and that's like Hartford, Connecticut, parts of Boston, and parts of Providence. It's really safe, and that's attracting a lot of people. You just gotta be able to deal with all the snow because they get it up there. The second division in the Northeast, Region 1, is the Mid-Atlantic. That has New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. Strange amount of people think Pennsylvania is part of New England, when reality it doesn't even touch New England. I think it has a lot to do with the history of the Pennsylvania Dutch and all the Amish they have up there and the Mennonites. Most people that think that
that's a fast horse,
Pennsylvania's part of New England, really, they just have a passing interest in geography and American history. Of course, you have New York and New York City, where this country really kind of got its start. This is where everyone first started flooding in to the United States, or what would become the United States. Sure, there was other places that started before and had some people there, but this was like the first major hub of the United States. And of course, New Jersey. New Jersey has a ton of American history. Again, most people just have thoughts of the Jersey Shore and the Sopranos when they think of New Jersey, but there is so much...
You know what? People keep telling me I need to watch Sopranos. Is it Sopranos or Sopranos? I don't know. We'll call it Sup. But should I watch Sup? Should I?
More to this state.
Is it really
you never
that
hear
good?
about the inner parts of the state. New Jersey is beautiful. It's got some rough spots just like every other state. And I mean, their capital kind of really blows. I think it's like the second or third worst state capital we have. But other than that, this is a beautiful state that likes to tax people. I got an email years ago about a guy said that he was told by someone that New Jersey started off as a penal colony for people from New York and Philadelphia. Or like that was the original plan. I've done some research on it, and I've, tried to look it up. I could find nothing about that, so I think that's false. They're going to section off a whole area by New York and Philadelphia and just put all the convicts there. No country would ever do that. Wait, there's Australia.
I was literally about to say, isn't that how Australia formed? Didn't like Britain put all the convicts in Australia? And that's... Hey, I know a lot of people that live in Australia. Shout out to you guys, but you're all convicts.
Never mind. We wouldn't do that in the United States. Now, there are some other regions that are in here that are unofficial, like you have Appalachia. That covers parts of New York and a good section of Pennsylvania, but that one also goes all the way down into the South. Now, one thing to keep in mind, each state has a whole bunch of their own little regions. Like in Maine, they have the 100-mile wilderness, and Acadia, the down east. This video would literally be 3 hours long if I went over all those. If you'd like to hear about each state's regions, I'd love to do a video. Let me know in the comment section. Now,
a 3 hour long video? I think the longest video I've ever done on this channel was like maybe 40-50 minutes. Imagine. Would you guys hey, comment down below, would you be able to handle a 3 hour long video? Imagine. We get a popcorn, we got,
One thing about the Northeast, you're probably wondering why places like Maryland, Delaware aren't involved. They're right there. Shouldn't they be part of this section of the country? No, they're actually considered southern states. But really, they're not. But officially, they are. It's strange. Moving on.
Moving on. Midwest.
Region 2, the Midwest. Now, the Midwest is sort of new. Before June 1984, the Midwest region was designated the North Central region. But now it's just Region 2, the Midwest. The Midwest has two divisions, the 3rd Division and the 4th Division. In the 3rd Division, it's called East North Central. That has Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin. In Division 4, which is the West North Central, you have Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. This is where you'll find the Great Plains, at least part of the Great Plains. This is also flyover country,
So is this like is that the flattest part of America?
You'll find regions like the Dakotas here, the Ohio Valley. You also have parts of what's known as the High Plains in the Midwest. The Midwest, though, is like the heartland of America. It's known for families, down-to-earth people. It is known for farming and manufacturing. Manufacturing isn't what it used to be, but it still has a good portion of the United States manufacturing. This is also where you'll find the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt is a region of the United States that's experienced industrial decline starting in the 1950s. This is where a lot of our manufacturing was and where a lot of it left from.
Hey, I bet a lot of movies rent this place out. Look at it. This is perfect for a movie scene.
This touches a good portion of the country. New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. Some of America's greatest cities are in the Rust Belt. They're just a skeleton of what they used to be. Detroit, Michigan, Gary, Indiana, Flint, Michigan, Saginaw, Youngstown.
Mate, is this I can't speak. Apocalyptic? Let's just say apocalypse, bro. You know what I'm saying.
Dayton, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, South Bend, Indiana, Buffalo, New York. It's a shame when you look at this part of the country and you read about the Rust Belt and how things played out and how it is now. This is where everyone lived. If you wanted a solid job and a good lifestyle, raise a family, you moved to the area that's now known as the Rust Belt back in the day. I've also heard it called the Snow Belt, at least the upper part. Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota. They get some serious snow up there.
All right.
Region 3, the South.
We all know the South.
Has 3 different divisions. You have Division 5, which is the South Atlantic. Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Wait. The South goes... Oh, wait. I think I watched a video before where like the South actually goes all the way up here. Which is like, what?
Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia. You have the East South Central, which is Division 6. That includes Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And then, of course, Division 7, which is the West South Central. That includes Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. There are several other unofficial regions of the South, like the Deep South. That's probably the most well-known. That includes Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and South Carolina. Sometimes Texas...
Bro, the Deep South don't even include Florida. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Texas and Florida are included in the Deep South, but originally the Deep South was just those 5 states. The Deep South is a term that really didn't show up until the Civil War, and it's pretty much the same region as the Cotton Belt. That's where their biggest crop was, which was the cotton at the time, and those were the 5 states where the cotton was being grown the most. You also have the Black Belt. There's 2 different versions of the Black Belt. One has to do with the fertile soil of Alabama, and one has to do with the color of the skin of the people that were working the farms back in the day. Now, there is 2 versions of the black belt. So before you correct me, which I've been corrected several times on this one, you just have to know there are 2 different versions of what the black belt is. Neither are official. It's just what people call the area. You also have the Old South, which was states that were part of the original 13 colonies. These states would be Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, and technically West Virginia, but West Virginia at the time was part of Virginia. Regionally, the South accounts for almost 40% of the American population. Wow. It was also the fastest growing part of the country between 2021 and 2022, and is home to 4 of the country's 10 most populous states. The South is known for Southern hospitality, just good people.
Yo, is that actually a thing? Like, is a lot of people in America wanting to move to the South?
Down to earth people. These days, they've got a lot of poverty. It's known as a really cheap place to live. Things have gotten so expensive here in the United States that a lot of people are just, you know, overlooking all the problems that the South might have just so they can save a buck. Now, it does have a bad reputation, but they have some incredibly great places to live. Atlanta, for being a big metro area, it's not a bad place to live as far as big cities go. Charleston, South Carolina is amazing. Savannah, Georgia is great. The northwest corner of Arkansas is a great place to be moving to these days. North Carolina is one of the most popular states to move to. Asheville, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, great places to live.
All right, so the South, you just need to know where you're going, bro, because like we just heard, there's a lot of great places to move to, but then there, of course, will be, you know, some iffy ones.
The Outer Banks, but you also have heat, humidity, Durham, Charlotte, great places to live. You have the Outer Banks, but you also have heat, humidity, mosquitoes, and hurricanes. One of my favorite regions is sort of in the South. It's part of Arkansas, which is the Ozarks. I love the Ozarks. It's beautiful. Arkansas has a whole...
Hey, you know what? I've seen the Ozarks because I've watched the Ozarks Netflix show. Actually, a really good show. I really like that show.
A host of problems, but it is easily one of the most beautiful states we have, naturally. It's known as the natural state. When it comes to other southern states, there's some states I don't feel should be in there, like Texas and Oklahoma. I think Texas should be part of the West, and I think Oklahoma should be part of the Midwest. That's just my opinion. I don't make the rules.
Hey, what do you think about that for people from Texas? You don't want to be the South no more? Do you want to be the West?
Region for the West.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Does this guy live in the West? He changed the West to the best.
The West has 2 different divisions. Division 8, which is called the Mountain Division, which has Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. Then you have Division 9, which is the Pacific. The Pacific has Alaska, California, Hawaii, Oregon, and Washington. If you want to look at amazing wilderness, I think this is where you're going to find some of America's best. I mean, you have Alaska. Alaska, hands down, the most wild state we have. I mean, it's called the last frontier. You know, you're living in the...
I'm actually surprised that Alaska is included in like the region of the west of America. I would thought Alaska, like, yeah, sure, Hawaii, but I thought Alaska would be just like, it's its own region. You know what I mean? Alaska's region is Alaska.
The state that's kind of wild when they actually have a waiting list that you have to get on with the state to get roadkill moose meat. Yeah, if a moose gets hit by a car, truck, whatever, and dies, the state comes and collects it. Well, that's a lot of good meat on that moose. So they don't want people to accidentally, quote unquote, hit moose all the time and then just chop it up themselves. So the state has to collect it. And then if you're on the waiting list, you're top of the list, they tell you to come down and pick up your moose. It's a hot commodity. And if it's out of season, people want their moose meat. They started faking car accidents. You know, when you have a hotline and a waiting list for something like that, you know it's been done many, many times. You have Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming.
Bro, that is my... Hey. I can't believe what I just heard.
Again, some of the most wild, beautiful land we have in this country. Oregon and Washington. The Pacific Northwest is breathtaking. When you look at the trees, the rain, the rivers, the waterfalls, and the lakes, it is life-changing when you see some of these places. New Mexico, desert. I've said many times I'm not a desert type guy, but you can't deny that it's a beautiful chunk of desert there. Utah has some of our greatest national parks. Nevada has Vegas, Reno, and Area 51. California is...
Yo, is Briggs trying to sell the West to us? Because he did already at the start say it's the best, so he is a bit biased, you know what I mean? But I feel like he's trying to sell the West for me to move to. I know, you guys are from America, right? Without being biased, what do you think is the best region in America? Let me know.
One of the most important states in the country. Yes, it's got a bunch of problems, but that state makes so much money, it pays the way for so many other states in this country. Okay. Since Lewis and Clark first made it here, people have always headed west to change their life, to have a new life, to strike it rich. The Midwest has their Midwest charm, where it's a great place to raise a family. It's middle America, the South with their Southern hospitality. I think if you pinned anything like that on the West, it would be the sense of adventure. It wasn't too long ago when people were heading this direction to California, Utah, Oregon, Washington, where these people were basically going to the great unknown. They didn't know what was out there. For a lot of us, that was our great-grandparents or our great-great-grandparents. One thing that's kind of stuck with the people out west is helping your neighbor out, because it goes back to where there was nothing out here, no resources. You fended for yourself. Well, the best way to fend for yourself is have some good neighbors. California's not like that, but the other states you can still find that vibe. Out west, you find...
Yeah, let's just knock off California straight away, bro.
Some of the unofficial regions, like the Rocky Mountain region. You find the Great Basin region, which takes up Colorado, Nevada, and parts of California. Okay. You even have something called the Californias. The California is the state of California, and then Baja California down in Mexico. Not really part of the United States, but half of it is. You have the Mojave region, which is mostly in California, but also goes into Arizona and Nevada. Up in Idaho, you have the Palouse. Here's a picture of it right here. It's just one of the greatest places to go take some pictures. You also have the Pacific Northwest.
Hey, why is it so patchy?
West region, which includes Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, and British Columbia, even though it's part of Canada. You also have the Inland Northwest, which takes up most of the eastern part of Washington, part of northern Idaho, and western Montana, along with a little bit of eastern Oregon. You also have the Four Corner region, which includes Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. It is the only place in the United States where 4 states.
We got different regions with different regions, man. It's getting a little bit confusing.
Actually meet. They have this whole nice thing where it's this big monument and like a park around it. It's really nice looking. They have another one. I think it's like Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois, but it's 3. It's where 3 states meet. It's just a pile of rocks with a really small sign, and you got to go down a dirt road to find it. So those are your main regions.
That's cool, though.
With the ones that are inside them. Now, there's a couple other ones that I should mention. There's Sioux land, like the Sioux Indians. That's out in Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska. You have the Tidewater region. There's the Gulf Coast region, the Virginias, which used to be one Virginia, but then they split it up.
Hey, I thought when we were jumping into regions, we was going to point out the main regions. Now we're going regions into regions. So which one's the real region?
Off into West Virginia and Virginia. Of course, you have Tornado Alley. You have Dixie or Dixieland. That's what they call all the states below the Mason-Dixon line. Those are South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, Arkansas, Virginia, Texas, Kentucky, and Florida. Now, there's other regions like FBI field regions. There's Treasury regions. We're not going to get into all those.
No. I want to get into them ones.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little trip around.
Hey, how do you learn about the FBI region and the treasure regions, bro? Let me know what you guys think tonight in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, live every single day on twitch.tv/L3WG. If you guys want to check me out over there, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.